All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 49 of our Bible in 90 days. We are getting there. We're over halfway done now. So thank you for joining. We're using the YouVersion / Life Church Bible app. And if you go to the Bible app, you can just go to Bible in 90 days. I think it's like the third or fourth plan down with the Bible on the table. That's the plan we're going on. Or you can go back to day number 1 and find the link in the description. All right. All right. Okay, let me give you a warning about something today. We're going to be going from Ecclesiastes chapter 3 to the end of Song of Solomon. So we're going to be finishing Song of Solomon. I have not read Song of Solomon in a long time. I did not preview what's in it before I read this, but I do know there's some mature themes in it. So viewer discretion is advised. Probably not something you want your kids to hear if they are young. So yeah, could be awkward. I'm not gonna look at the chat or anything like that. It's just gonna be one of those things where in the Bible, all right? So we're just going to read it, keep a straight face, and we're just going to work through the Song of Solomon. So that'll be today, but we're going to start in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's often been said that Proverbs was when Solomon was in covenant with God. Ecclesiastes was when he was out of covenant with God. So Ecclesiastes has a lot of, kind of like sad statements and things like that. But anyways, we're going to go into it. There's a lot of truth in it, of course, but there is some things that are just, kind of depressing. So here we go, Ecclesiastes Chapter 3. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do really people get for all their hard work? I've seen the burden God has placed on all of us. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded there's nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labors, for they are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing can be added to or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear him. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. I also noticed that under the sun there is evil in the courtroom. Yes, even the courts of law are corrupt. I said to myself, in due season God will judge everyone, both good and bad, for all their deeds. I also thought about the human condition, how God proves to people that they are like animals. For people and animals share the same fate. Both breathe and both must die. So people have no real advantage over animals. How meaningless. Again, like I said, some of this stuff is like, people say Solomon was out of covenant with God when he wrote this. So some of the stuff is like, obviously, humans do have an advantage over animals. Both go to the same place. They came from the dust and they return to the dust. For who can prove that the human spirit goes up and the spirit of animals goes down into the earth? So I saw that there's nothing better for people than to be happy in their work. That is our lot in life. And no one can bring us back to see what happens after we die. Chapter 4. Again, I observed all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed with no one to comfort them. So I concluded that the dead are better off than the living. And this is like depressing. But most fortunate of all, those who are not yet born, for they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun. Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors. But this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Fools fold their idle hands, leading them to ruin. And yet, better to have one handful with quietness than two handfuls with hard work and chasing the wind. I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. This is a case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is all meaningless and depressing. Two people are better off than one. They can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep warm, but how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. It's better to be poor but wise than old and foolish king who refuses all advice. Such a youth could rise from poverty and succeed. He might even become king, though he has been in prison. But then everyone rushes to the side of yet another youth who replaces him. Endless crowds stand around him, but then another generation grows up and rejects him too. So it's meaningless, like chasing the wind. Chapter 5. As you enter the house of God, keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. It is evil to make mindless offerings to God. Don't make rash promises, and don't be hasty in bringing matters before God. After all, God is in heaven, and you are here on earth. So let your words be few. Too much activity gives you restless dreams. Too many words make you a fool. When you make a promise to God, don't delay in following through. For God takes no pleasure in fools. Keep all promises you make to him. It's better to say nothing than to make a promise and not keep it. Don't let your mouth make you sin, and don't defend yourself by telling the temple messenger the promise you made was a mistake. That would make God angry, and he might wipe out everything that you have achieved. Talk is cheap, like daydreams and other useless activities. Fear God instead. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profit. Those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. The more you have, the more people come to help you spend it. So what good is wealth, except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? People who work hard sleep well, whether they eat little or much, but the rich seldom get a good night's sleep. There's another serious problem I've seen under the sun. Hoarding riches harms the saver. Money is to be put into risky investments that turn sour, and everything is lost. In the end, there's nothing left to pass on to one's children. We all come to the end of our lives as naked and empty-handed as on the day we were born. We can't take our riches with us. And this, too, is a very serious problem. People leave this world no better off than when they came. All their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Even so, I've noticed one thing, at least, that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. And it's a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it. To enjoy your work and accept your lot in life, this indeed is a gift from God. Wow, it's a good thing to receive wealth from God. Interesting. God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past. Chapter 6. There's another serious tragedy I've seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want, but then he doesn't give them the chance to enjoy these things. They die, and someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless, a sickening tragedy. A man might have 100 children and live to be very old, but if he finds no satisfaction in life and doesn't even get a decent burial, it would have been better for him to be born dead. His birth would have been meaningless, and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even had a name. Yet he would never even seen the sun or known of its existence. Yet he would have had more peace than growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment. And since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use? All people spend their lives scratching for food, but they never seem to have enough. So are wise people better off than the fools? Do poor people gain anything by being wise and knowing how to act in front of others? Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use in arguing with God about your destiny. That will preach right there. Highlight that in your Bible. The more words you speak, the less they mean. So what good are they? In the few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can be spent? Our lives are like a shadow. Who can tell what will happen on this earth after we are gone? Chapter 7. A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume, and the day you die is better than the day you were born. Better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. After all, everyone dies, so the living should take this to heart. This is such a good verse. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool only thinks about having a good time. I've quoted that many times when I talked about eternity or preached about eternity. Better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. A fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in a fire. This also is meaningless. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting, and patience is better than pride. Control your temper, for anger labels you a fool. Don't long for the good old days. This is not wise. Wow. Wisdom is even better when you have no money. Both are a benefit as you go through life. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, but only wisdom can save your life. Accept the way God does things, for who can straighten what he has made crooked? Enjoy prosperity while you can. When hard times strike, realize that both come from God. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. This totally goes against we've been taught our whole lives that God wants us poor. I've seen everything in this meaningless life, including the death of good and young people and the long life of wicked people. So don't be too good or too wise. Why destroy yourself? On the other hand, don't be too wicked either. Don't be a fool. Why die before your time? Pay attention to these instructions, for anyone who fears God will avoid both extremes. One wise person is stronger than 10 leading citizens of a town. Not a single person on earth is always good and never sins. Don't eavesdrop on others. You may hear your servant curse you. I have this weird thing where I hate eavesdropping. Like, I'm always freaked out I'm going to hear something I shouldn't. So I will literally never eavesdrop on somebody. For you know how often you yourself have cursed others. I've always tried my best to let wisdom guide my thoughts and actions. I said to myself, I'm determined to be wise, but it didn't work. Wisdom is always distant and difficult to find. I searched everywhere, determined to find wisdom and to understand the reason for things. I was determined to prove to myself that wickedness is stupid and foolishness is madness. I discovered that a seductive woman is a trap more bitter than death. Her passion is a snare, and her soft hands are chains. Those who are pleasing to God will escape her, but sinners will be caught in her snare. That is powerful. This is my conclusion, says the teacher. I discovered this after looking at the matter from every possible angle. Though I've searched repeatedly, I've not found what I was looking for. Only 1 out of 1,000 men is virtuous, but not one woman. But I did find this. God created people to be virtuous, but they've turned to follow their own downward path. Chapter 8. How wonderful to be wise, to analyze and interpret things. Wisdom lights up a person's face, softening its harshness. Obey the king since you vowed to God that you would. Don't try to avoid your duty, and don't stand with those who plot evil, for the king can do whatever he wants. His command is backed by great power. No one can resist or question him. Those who obey him will not be punished, and those who are wise will find a time and way to do what is right. For there is a time and a way for everything, even when a person is in trouble. Indeed, how can people avoid what they don't know is going to happen? None of us can hold back our spirit from departing. None of us has the power to prevent the day of our death. There's no escaping that obligation, that dark battle, and in the face of death, wickedness will certainly not rescue the wicked. I've thought deeply about all that goes on under the sun, where people have the power to hurt each other. I've seen wicked people buried with honor, yet they were the very ones who frequented the temple and are now praised, in the same city where they committed their crimes. This too is meaningless. When a crime is not punished quickly, people feel it safe to do wrong. But even though a person sins 100 times and still lives a long life, I know that those who fear God will be better off. The wicked will not prosper, for they do not fear God. Their days will never grow long like the evening shadows. And this is not all that is meaningless in our world. In this life, good people are often treated as though they were wicked, and wicked people are treated as though they were good. This is so meaningless. So I recommend having fun because there's nothing better for people in this world than to eat, drink, and enjoy life. That way, when they experience some happiness along all the hard work God gives them under the sun. In my search for wisdom and in my observation of people's burdens here on earth, I discovered that there is a ceaseless activity day and night. I realize that no one can discover everything that God is doing under the sun. Not even the wisest people discover everything, no matter what they claim. Chapter 9. Death comes to all. This too I carefully explored. Even though the actions of godly and wise people are in God's hands, no one knows whether God will show them favor. The same destiny ultimately awaits everyone, whether righteous or wicked, good or bad, ceremonially clean or unclean, religious or irreligious. Good people receive the same treatment as sinners, and people who make promises to God are treated like people who don't. It seems so wrong that everyone under the sun suffers the same fate. Already twisted by evil, people choose their own mad course, for they have no hope. There's nothing ahead of death but death anyway. There's hope only for the living. As they say, it's better to live a dog than a dead lion. The living at least know they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, nor are they remembered. Whatever they did in their lifetime, loving, hating, envying, is all long gone. They no longer play part in anything here on earth. So go ahead, eat your food with joy, and drink your wine with a happy heart, for God approves of this. Wear fine clothes with a splash of cologne. Live happily with women you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. All right, Solomon. The wife God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil. Whatever you do, do well. For when you go to the grave, there will be no work or planning or knowledge or wisdom. I've observed something else under the sun. The fastest runners don't always win the race, and the strongest warriors don't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It is all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. People can never predict what will happen when hard times come. Like fish in a net or birds in a trap, people are caught by sudden tragedy. Here's another bit of wisdom that has impressed me as I've watched the way the world works. There was a small town with only a few people, and a great king came with his army and besieged it. A poor, wise man knew how to save the town, and so it was rescued. But afterward, no one thought to thank him. So even though wisdom is better than strength, those who are wise will despise if they are poor. What they will say will no longer be appreciated for long. Better to hear the quiet words of a wise person than the shouts of a foolish king. Better to have wisdom than weapons of war, but one sinner can destroy much that is good. Chapter 10. As dead flies cause even a bottle of perfume to stink, so a little foolishness spoils great wisdom and honor. A wise person chooses the right road, and a fool takes only the wrong one. You can identify fools just by the way you walk down the street. If your boss is angry at you, don't quit. Quiet spirit can overcome even great mistakes. There's another evil I've seen under the sun. Kings and rulers make a grave mistake when they give authority to foolish people and low positions to people of proven worth. I've seen servants riding horseback like princes and princes walking like servants. When you dig a well, you might fall in. When you demolish an old wall, you could be bitten by a snake. When you work in a quarry, stones might fall and crush you. When you chop wood, there's danger with each stroke of your axe. Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed. If a snake bites you before you charm it, what's the use of being a snake charmer? Wise words bring approval, but fools are destroyed by their own words. Fools base their thoughts on foolish assumptions, so their conclusions will be wicked madness. They chatter on and on. No one really knows what's going to happen. No one can predict the future. Fools are so exhausted by a little work that they can't even find their way home. What sorrow for the land ruled by a servant, the land whose leader feasts in the morning. Happy is the land whose king is a noble leader, and whose leaders feast at the proper time to gain strength for their work, not to get drunk. Laziness leads to a sagging roof. Idleness leads to a leaky house. I got a couple leaks I got to fix. Amen. A party gives laughter, and wine gives happiness, and money gives everything. Never make light of the king, even in your thoughts. Don't make fun of powerful, even in your own bedroom. For a little bird might deliver your message and tell them what you said. All right, we've all been there. Chapter 11. Send your grain across the seas, and in time profits will flow back to you. But divide your investments among many places, for you don't know what risk might lie ahead. Well, that's good investing advice. When clouds are heavy, the rain comes down. Whether a tree falls north or south, it stays where it falls. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. That is a sermon right there. If you're waiting around for everything to be perfect and line up, you'll never go do the work of God. Preach. Just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. Light is sweet. How pleasant to see a new day dawning. When people live to be very old, let them rejoice in every day of life, but let them also remember there'll be many dark days. Everything still to come is meaningless. Young people, it's wonderful to be young. Enjoy every minute of it. Do everything you want to do and take it all in. But remember that you must give an account to God for everything you do. So refuse to worry and keep your body healthy. But remember that youth with the whole life before you is meaningless. Thank you, Solomon, that everything's meaningless. Chapter 12. This is a good verse right here. Listen up, guys. Don't let the excitement of youth cause you to forget your Creator. Honor Him in your youth before you grow old and say, life is not pleasant anymore. Remember Him before the light of the sun, moon, and stars is dim to your old eyes, and rain clouds continually darken your sky. Remember Him before your legs, the guards of your house, start to tremble, and before your shoulders, the strong men stoop. Remember Him before your teeth, your few remaining servants stop grinding, and before your eyes, the women looking through the window see dimly. Remember Him before the door to life's opportunities close and the sound of work fades. Now you rise at the first chirping of the birds, but then all their sounds will grow faint. Remember Him before you become fearful of falling and worry about danger in the streets, before your hair turns white like an almond tree in bloom, and you drag along without energy like a dying grasshopper, and the caperberry no longer inspires sexual desire. Okay. Remember Him before you near the grave, your everlasting home, when the mourners will weep at your funeral. Yes, remember your Creator now while you're young, before the silver cord of life snaps and the golden bowl is broken. Don't wait until the water jar is smashed at the spring of the pulley at the broken well, for then the dust will return to the earth and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher. Completely meaningless. Keep this in mind. The teacher was considered wise, and he taught the people everything he knew. He listened carefully to too many proverbs, studying and classifying them. The teacher sought to find just the right words to express truths clearly. The words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful but helpful. Their collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick with the step with which a shepherd drives the sheep. But my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless, and much study wears you out. That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. All right, so this is to sum it all up. Here we go. Fear God and obey His commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. Ooh, that's scary. That's scary. All right. All right, guys, the time has finally come. I knew this day would come, but here we are. I'm not going to look at the chat. We are in Song of Songs, which is Song of Solomon, and viewer discretion is advised. I have not read this in a long time, so I truthfully don't even know what's in here, but we can't skip it. I'm already blushing. Kiss me again and again, it says. I don't even know. All right, I'm blushing here. For those of you that are like, this is the song about Jesus and the church. No, it is not. That is not what this book is about. Anyways, I'm not even gonna go into that, but I've heard people teach that, and I'm like, that's false. Here we are. This is the Song of Solomon. It's in the Bible, and viewer discretion is advised. We're gonna read it. Don't make me laugh in the chat. I'm not even gonna look at the chat, and I'm just gonna try not to blush here. Hopefully I don't just turn red here. All right. Again, I haven't read this in like probably a couple years. So I don't know when the last time I read this. Well, I guess we did the 90-day Bible last year, but I don't even remember what's in here. Chapter 1. This is Solomon's Song of Songs, more wonderful than any other. All right, here we go. I'm already blushing. I want to laugh, my cheeks. Okay, here we go. Young woman, kiss me and kiss me again, for your love is sweeter than wine. How pleasing is your fragrance. Your name is like the spreading fragrance of scented oils. No wonder all the young women love you. Okay. Take me with you. Come, let's run. The king has brought me into his bedroom. How happy we are for you, O king. We praise you, your love, even more than wine. How right they are to adore you. I'm dark but beautiful. All right. Did not wake up thinking I was going to be saying that today. I'm dark but beautiful, O women of Jerusalem. Dark as the tents of Kedar. Dark as the curtains of Solomon's tents. Don't stare at me because I'm dark. The sun has darkened my skin. My brothers were angry with me. They forced me to care for their vineyards, so I couldn't care for myself, my own vineyard. Tell me, my love, where are you leading your flock today? Some of you are just not going to look at me the same after this. I already know. It's just, you're never going to be able to look at me the same here. Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander like a prostitute among your friends and their flocks? If you don't know, O most beautiful woman, follow the trail of my flock and graze your young goats by my shepherd's tent. You are as exciting, my darling, as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions. How lovely are your cheeks. Your earrings set them afire. How lovely is your neck, enhanced by a string of jewels. I tell us that all the time. What a lovely neck you have. He will make you for earrings of gold and beads of silver. The king is lying on his couch, enchanted by the fragrance of my perfume. My lover is like a sachet of myrrh lying between my breasts. He is like a bouquet of sweet henna blossoms from the vineyards of En-Gedi. How beautiful you are, my darling, how beautiful. Your eyes are like doves. You are so handsome, my love, pleasing beyond words. The soft grass is our bed. Fragrant cedar branches are the beams of our house, and pleasant smelling firs are the rafters. Would this be considered rizzing someone up? I'm not sure. Anybody know? Chapter 2, Young Women. I'm the spring crocus blossoming on the Sharon plain, the lily of the valley. All right. Don't try that pickup line. I'm the spring crocus. Young man, like a lily among thistles, is my darling among young women. Young woman, like the finest apple tree in the orchard, is my lover among other men. I sit in his delight shade and taste his delicious fruit. I don't even, listen, I don't know. I don't know what any of this means. I don't know what it means to taste the delicious fruit. We're just going to keep going here. I'm not going to try to interpret any of this. He escorts me to the banquet hall. It's obvious how much he loves me. Strengthen me with raisin cakes. Refresh me with apples, for I'm weak with love. His left arm is under my head. His right arm embraces me. Promise me, O woman of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and wild deer, not to awaken love until the time is right. Ah, I hear my lover coming. He's leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. My lover is like a swift gazelle or a young stag. Look, there he is behind the wall, looking through the window, peering into the room. That's called a peeping Tom today. My lover said to me, rise up, my darling. Come away with me, my fair one. Look, the winter is past and the rains are over and gone. The flowers are springing up. The season of singing birds has come, and the cooing of turtle doves fills the air. The fig trees are forming young fruit, not foaming, forming. And the fragrant grapevines are blossoming. Rise up, my darling. Come away with me, my fair one. My dove is hiding, young man. My dove is hiding behind the rocks, behind an outcrop on the cliff. Let me see your face. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is pleasant and your face is lovely. Young women of Jerusalem, catch all the foxes, those little foxes, before they ruin the vineyard of love, for the grapevines are blossoming. I'm as lost as y'all. Okay, this isn't too bad so far, so we're doing good here. Young women, my lover is mine and I am his. He browses among the lilies before the dawn breezes blow and the night shadows flee. Return to me, my love, like a gazelle or a young stag on the rugged mountains. Chapter 3, Young woman. One night as I lie in bed, I yearn for my lover. I yearned for him, but he did not come. So I said to myself, I will get up and roam the city, searching in its streets and squares. I will search for the one I love. So I searched everywhere, but did not find him. The watchmen stopped me as they made their rounds, and I asked, have you seen the one I love? And scarcely had I left them. When I found my love, I caught him and held him tightly. Then I brought him to my mother's house, into my mother's bed where I had been conceived. That is awkward. Promise me, O woman of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and wild deer, not to awaken love until the time is right. Young woman of Jerusalem. Who is this sweeping in from the wilderness like a cloud of smoke? Who is it fragrant with myrrh and frankincense and every kind of spice? Look, it's Solomon's carriage, surrounded by 60 heroic men, the best of Israel's soldiers. They are like skilled swordsmen, experienced warriors. Earth wears a sword on his thigh, or each wears, ready to defend the king against an attack in the night. King Solomon's carriage is built of wood imported from Lebanon. Its posts are silver, its canopy gold, its cushions are purple, it's decorated with love by the young women of Jerusalem. Come out to see King Solomon, young women of Jerusalem. He wears the crown his mother gave him on his wedding day, his most joyous day. Chapter 4, young man. You're beautiful, my darling. So this is the young man speaking. You're beautiful, my darling, beautiful beyond words. Your eyes are like doves behind your veil. Your hair falls in waves like a flock of goats winding down the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are as white as sheep, recently shorn and freshly washed. Okay, praise the Lord. Your smile is flawless, each tooth matched with its twin. Your lips are like scarlet ribbon. Your mouth is inviting. Your cheeks are like rosy pomegranates behind your veil. Your neck is as beautiful as the Tower of David, jeweled with shields of 1,000 heroes. Your breasts are like two fawns, twin fawns of a gazelle grazing among the lilies. Before the dawn breezes blow and the night shadow flees, I will hurry to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. You're altogether beautiful, my darling, beautiful in every way. Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Come down from Mount Amanah, from the peaks of Senir and Hermon, where the lions have their dens and leopards live among the hills. You've captured my heart, my treasure, my bride. You hold it hostage with one glance of your eyes, with a single jewel of your necklace. Your love delights me, my treasure, my bride. Your love is better than wine. Your perfume more fragrant than spices. Your lips are as sweet as nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. Your clothes are scented like the cedars of Lebanon. Right, Solomon. All right. You're my private garden, my treasure, my bride, a secluded spring, a hidden fountain. Your thighs shelter a paradise of pomegranates with rare spices, henna with nard and saffron, fragrant calamus and cinnamon, with all the streets of frankincense, myrrh, trees, aloes, and every lovely spice. You're a garden, a fountain, a well, fresh water streaming down from Lebanon's mountains. This isn't too bad. Awake, north wind, rise up, south wind, blow on my garden and spread its fragrance all around. Just as I said, it wasn't too bad. Come into your garden, my love, taste its finest fruits. Chapter 5. I can't give a straight face. I've entered my garden, my treasure, my bride. I gather myrrh with my spices and eat honeycomb with my honey. I drink wine with my milk. O lover and beloved, eat and drink. Yes, drink deeply of your love. I slept, but my heart was awake. When I heard my lover knocking and calling, open to me, my treasure, my darling, my dove, my perfect one. My head is drenched with dew, my hair with dampness of the night. But I responded, I've taken off my robe. Should I get dressed again? I've washed my feet. Should I get them soiled? My lover tried to unlatch the door, and my heart thrilled within me. Help me, Lord. I jumped up to open the door for my love, and my hands dipped with perfume. My fingers dripped with lovely myrrh as I pulled back the bolt. I opened to my lover, but he was gone. My heart sank, and I searched for him, but I couldn't find him anywhere. I called to him, but there was no reply. The night watchmen found me, and they made their rounds. They beat and bruised me and stripped off my veil, those watchmen on the walls. Make this promise, O women of Jerusalem. If you find my lover, tell him I'm weak with love. Why is your lover better than all the others, O women of rare beauty? What makes your lover so special that we must promise this? My lover is dark and dazzling, better than 10,000 others. His head is finest gold. His wavy hair is black as a raven. His eyes sparkle like doves beside springs of water. They're set like jewels washed in milk. His cheeks are like garden of spices, giving off fragrance. His lips are like lilies perfumed with myrrh. His arms like rounded bars of gold set with beryl. His body is like bright ivory, glowing with lapis lazuli. His legs are like marble pillars set in sockets of finest gold. His posture is stately, like the noble cedars of Lebanon. His mouth is sweetness itself. He's desirable in every way. Such a woman of Jerusalem is my lover, my friend. Chapter 6. We're almost done. Where has your lover gone, O woman of rare beauty? Which way did he turn so we can help you find him? My lover has gone down to his garden, to spice his beds, to browse in the gardens and gather the lilies. I am my lover's, and my lover is mine. He browses among the lilies. You are beautiful, my darling, like the lovely city of Tirzah. Yes, as beautiful as Jerusalem, as majestic as an army billowing banners. Turn your eyes away, for they overpower me. Your hair falls in waves, like a flock of goats winding on the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are as white as sheep, they're like freshly washed. Your smile is flawless, each tooth matched with its twin. Your cheeks are like rosy pomegranates behind your veil. Even among 60 queens and 80 concubines and countless young women, I would still choose my dove, my perfect one, the favorite of her mother, clearly loved by the one who bore her. The young women see her and praise her, even queens. I totally read that something else. Even queens, the royal concubines, sing her praises. Who is this arising like the dawn? as fair as the moon, as bright as the sun, as majestic as an army with billowing banners. I went down to the grove of walnut trees and to the valley of the new spring growth to see whether the grapevines had budded or the pomegranates were in bloom, before I realized my strong desire had overtaken me to the chariot of a nobleman. Return to us, O maid of Shulam. Come back, that we may see you again. Why do you stare at this young woman of Shulam as she moves gracefully between two lines of dancers? Chapter 7. How beautiful are your sandaled feet, O queenly maiden. Your rounded thighs are like jewels, the work of a skilled craftsman. Your navel is perfectly formed, like a goblet filled with mixed wine. Between your thighs lies a mound of wheat bordered with lilies. Your breasts are like two fawns. They're twin fawns of a gazelle. Your neck is so beautiful as an ivory tower. Your eyes are like the sparkling pools in Heshbon by the gate of Bath Rabbim. Your nose is as fine as the Tower of Lebanon, overlooking Damascus. Your head is as majestic as Mount Carmel, and the sheen of your hair radiates royalty. The king is held captive by its tresses. Oh, how beautiful you are. How pleasing, my love. How full of delights. You are slender like a palm tree, and your breasts are like clusters of fruit. I said I will climb the palm tree and take hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like grape clusters, and the fragrance of your breath like apples. May your kisses be as exciting as the best wine. Yes, wine that goes down smoothly for my lover, flowing gently over lips and teeth. I am my lover, and he claims me as his own. Come, my love, let us go to the fields and spend the night among the wildflowers. Let us get up early and go to the vineyard to see if the grapes have budded and if blossoms have opened. And if the pomegranates have bloomed, there I'll give you my love. There the mandrakes give off their fragrance, and the finest fruits are at our door. New delights as well as old, which I've saved for you, my lover. Oh, I wish you were my brother, who nursed at my mother's breast. Okay, that's awkward. Then I can kiss you no matter who is watching, and no one can criticize me. I would bring you to my childhood home, and there you would teach me. I would give you special spiced wine to drink and sweet pomegranate wine. Your left arm would be under my head, and your right arm would embrace me. Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, not to awaken love until the time is right. Who is this weeping from the desert, leaning on her lover? I aroused you under the apple tree, where your mother gave you birth, where in great pain she delivered you. Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is as strong as death, its jealousy as enduring as the grave. Love flashes like fire, the brightness kind of flame. Many waters cannot quench love, nor waters drown it. If a man tried to buy love with all his wealth, his offer would be utterly scorned. We have a little sister too young to have breasts. What will we do for our sister if someone asks to marry her? She's a virgin like a wall. We will protect her with a silver tower. But if she is promiscuous like a swinging door, we'll block the door with a cedar bar. If I was a virgin like a wall, now my breasts are like towers. When my lover looks at me, he's delighted with what he sees. Solomon has a vineyard at Baal Hamon, which he leases out to tenant farmers. Each of them pays 1,000 pieces of silver for harvesting its fruit. But my vineyard is mine to give, and Solomon need not pay 1,000 pieces of silver, but I will give 200 pieces for those who care for its vines. Oh, my darling, lingering in the gardens, your companions are fortunate to hear your voice. Let me hear it too. Come away, my love. Be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of spices. All right, that wasn't too bad. That was not nearly as graphic as I remember. So maybe it's the NLT just makes it not as graphic. But yeah, that wasn't bad. That is a Song of Solomon's. I only blushed a few times, but we made it through. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being a part. As always, we are, what is that? Day 49. We are done. And then tomorrow we will read 13 chapters in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah is a very long book. What a great name. Isn't that a good name? Isaiah. Wow, awesome. Isaiah is a long book, but it's going to be really, really good. I'm excited to go through it with you guys. As always, thank you so much for being here, for engaging. I love seeing you guys in the chat and engaging. I appreciate every one of you. If you want to support, the link is right there on the screen. You can also look in the description or in the chat, isaiahsaldivar.com/partner. And if you haven't got my book yet, How to Cast Out Demons, Everything You Need to Know About Deliverance, make sure you grab the book. It's 200 pages teaching about deliverance, and it will help you see people get set free. So grab the book on Amazon, links in the description, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 2.